بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. From my Badu, my dear brothers and sisters, I remind myself and you that life is a series of graduated tests leading to a final test which is called death. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us to ask for steadfastness on the path. Today's khutbah, the title of it is How to Ace the Test Called Life. The first thing, therefore, to do is to remember and remind ourselves and others that we are on a journey, the destination of which Insha'Allah will be Jannatul Firdaus Ula bi ghairi hisab. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this. So stop looking for endings and conclusions and closure. They lived happily hereafter is a line for fairy tales. Inshallah, we will live happily ever after in the Akhirah, if we pass the test called life. The good news is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us how to pass the test. And He sent us a beautiful teacher to teach and demonstrate for us what we need to do. About this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما كان قول المؤمنين إذا دعوا إلى الله ورسوله ليحكم بينهم أن يقولوا سمعنا وأطعنا وأولئك هم المفلحون ومن يطع الله ورسوله ويخشى الله ويتقه فأولئك هم الفائزون. In Surah An-Nur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the only saying, that is the only thing that is acceptable as a statement from the believers, when they are called to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to judge between them, which is when the word of Allah is brought before them or the ruling of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is brought before them, the only thing accepted and acceptable from them is that they say, Sami'na wa ata'na, we hear and we obey. And Allah said, these are the muflihun. I want you to think about these two words, muflihun and faizun. Falah and fawz. So Allah said, these are the successful people. In English we seem to have only the same word, but the meaning in Arabic is completely different. So, muflihun. Ulaika hum muflihun. Then Allah said, and whosoever obeys Allah, وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ, whoever obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَيَخْشَى اللَّهَ وَيَتَّقْهِ, who has the khashyat of Allah, who has the awe and majesty of Allah in his heart, and who has taqwa as his frame of reference, وَيَتَّقِي فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَائِزُونَ. Now Allah said muflihun earlier, Allah now said faizun. Now falah is success in each test. Falah is success but in each test, which means that the tests of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will not cease. They will come, and each time the mu'min chooses to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over and above trying to please anyone and anything else, including himself, he places the will of Allah over and above the desire, his own desire, as well as his desire to please anybody else. When he does that, he is al-muflih. He is successful, she is successful in that test. But there will be another test, and there will be another test, and there will be another test. As long as he or she is in this world, there will be tests. The final test is death. The final test is death. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us in a state of iman and waqar and izzah and health, and in keeping with His majesty and grace, with all the blessings that He blessed us with, until our last moment, and give us that final test with His greatness on our lips, reciting his kalima in a state of sujood, in tahajjud, or in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take us in a state where He is pleased with us, inshallah. So this final test is death, and the one who passes that with iman and yaqeen is al-faiz. He is not al-muflih, he is al-faiz. He is successful in the final test, after which there is no other test. So falah is success in a test, and fawz is freedom from testing itself. Once a person has become al-faiz, after that there is no test for that individual. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this for all of us. Now, on the authority of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took me by the shoulder. He put his hand on his shoulder. He said, "Come here." And he said, "Be in this world as though you are a stranger or a traveler. Stranger or wayfarer. Stranger or traveler." Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma added, "When evening comes, do not expect to live till the morning. And when morning comes, do not expect to live till the evening. Take from your health as a preparation for your illness, and take from your life as a preparation for your death." And this hadith is in Bukhari. Our goal, therefore, is to live this life in a way that enables us to ace the test and win Jannatul Firdaus. Every decision of ours must stand this one criterion, must stand this test of that question, the one question, which is, does it please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? In this context, I want to share with you 3 pieces of advice from one of our great classical scholars and a contemporary of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi, and a student of Sheikh Shaqiq al-Balqi rahmatullahi alayhi, Hatim al-Asam. I have done a whole series of classes, lectures on the wisdom of Hatim al-Asam. This is the same person. Now, he was a man known especially for his tawakkul, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded him in special ways. Now, Hatim al-Asam rahmatullahi alayhi said 3 things. He said, number 1, learn to love good deeds because only they will go with you. I repeat, learn to love good deeds because only they will go with you. Second one, he said, learn to align your desire to obey Allah. Learn to align our desire to obey Allah. And number 3, he said, learn to love giving more than keeping or receiving. Learn to love giving more than keeping or receiving. So let's look at the first one. Learn to love good deeds because only they will go with us. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when a human being dies, all of his deeds are terminated, they are finished, they are stopped, except for 3 types. An ongoing sadaqah, sadaqatul jariyah, which we call ongoing charity, number 1. Number 2, knowledge from which others benefit, which means something that you have taught, something that you have, books you have written and so on, from which others benefit. And 3rd, a righteous child who makes dua for the person. Child may be biological child, maybe a student, whoever. Righteous child who makes dua for that individual, and this is in Muslim and other books of hadith. Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu reported from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best that a man can leave behind after his death are 3 things. A righteous child who makes dua for him, an ongoing sadaqah whose rewards continue to reach him or her, and knowledge that continues to be implemented after the person has passed away. And this is in Ibn Majah and Al-Mundiri and Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullahi alayhi ajma'in. They have certified this as being a Sahih Hadith. Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu reported also in Hadith again in Ibn Majah, and again certified as Hasan by Al-Mundiri and Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, among the good deeds that continue to benefit a believer after death are knowledge that he taught and disseminated, which he passed on, a righteous child who lived after him, makes dua for him, a copy of the Quran or some book that he has written and has left as inheritance, a masjid that he built, a house that he built for wayfarers, which means some kind of free accommodation for travelers and so on and so forth, a stream that he ran, meaning any water source, stream, well, you name it, or a charity that he gave from his wealth during his healthy lifetime so that it would reach him in rewards after death. My brothers and sisters, I remind myself and you, everyone loves someone and something. And those people and things, leave them when they go into their graves. We know the hadith of Rasulullah, where he said that three things of a person, one leaves him in the house itself, the other one goes with him to the qabristan, to the cemetery, and the third one goes with him in the grave. He said what leaves him in the house itself, or where he dies, is his wealth. Doesn't even leave the house with him. What goes with him to the graveyard, to the cemetery, are his relatives and friends. But what goes with him in the qabr is his deeds. Only the deeds, nothing else. So therefore, learn to love good deeds, because only they will go with us into our graves. The key is to love them and to ensure that we love them. Now, what is a sign that you love something? Right? Please reflect on this. What is a sign that you love something? Some of us love football, some of us love basketball, some of us love cricket, some of us love tennis. Some of us love all of them, some of us love none of them, and they like to read instead. Right? They love reading. Now, what is it that shows us what we love, or what is it that shows us what somebody loves? What are the signs? We prefer to spend time. Prefer is the word, right? Nobody is forcing us. We prefer, we like to. We spend time and energy and effort and expense and emotion on what we love. We don't do this because we feel we must do it. We don't do this because we are compelled to do it. We do it because we want to do it. And there's a world of difference between these two things. Doing something because you are compelled, and doing the same thing because you really want to do it. What we do out of compulsion, we do it half-heartedly, we take shortcuts. If we can do that, we brush things under the carpet, we don't pay attention to detail, and we forget about, we are not meticulous with it, and forget, let alone doing more, when even the basic things we do without any passion, without any enthusiasm, without any energy. But when we are doing what we love to do, we have passion, we have energy, we have enthusiasm, we have concentration, we have focus, and we take joy in the activity, we enjoy that activity. Nobody needs to force or tempt us. The doing itself is the reward. Right? I'm sure all of us have watched somebody watching football or basketball or something. Totally concentrated on the television, everything else is forgotten. May Allah forgive us, sometimes even Salah is forgotten. And you are screaming from here as if they can hear, the people playing as if they can hear you. And you're giving them advice, and you're trying to make your team win just by yelling. We've seen all of this, right? What does that tell you? It tells you this intense passion. Sometimes I wish that so much emotion was used in something worthwhile. But we can see this very clearly. There's no doubt in your mind that here is a person who loves that thing which he is watching on the TV. So let us look at the issue of loving good deeds. Let's look at the first and foremost of good deeds, and that is Salah. And see what applies to it. Do we love to do it, or do we do it because we feel compelled? Remember, this Salah will go with us into our graves. It will stand as a shield for us against the punishment of the grave. It will be our witness on the day when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam called it the Miftahul Jannah. He said this is the key for Jannah. In this life, this Salah is our greatest asset. It's our shield, it's our weapon. It's our wealth. It's our weapon against shaitan and against all evil. It is our direct hotline to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the only place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that He responds to us real time. The hadith concerning the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. It's the only place where Allah told us He will respond to us real time, word for word. It's the greatest gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam above the seven heavens and through him to us. And it is that which takes us into the presence of Allah on demand, our demand. It is the evidence that we are Muslim. Now please reflect on all these things and let us ask ourselves whether we treat Salah with the importance that it deserves in the right way. If not, then how do we expect our weak and broken and lame Salah, sick Salah, to do all that it is supposed to do, whether it's in this dunya or whether it's in the akhirah? My brothers and sisters, I remind myself and you to learn about Salah, to practice it, to strengthen it and sharpen it, so that it becomes strong enough to do what it is supposed to do, which is to save us from all evil in this life and the next. Let me tell you two stories about those who understood this. Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu was once praying tahajjud in his camp. His horse was tethered nearby and his little child was sleeping at his feet. And Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu was reciting Quran in Salah. When he saw a cloud come down, descend at head level, and this cloud had lights in it, flickering lights in it. Now Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu was absolutely astonished. But he continued to recite and this cloud was there and the lights. But the problem was that his horse was getting spooked and it started prancing and it started pulling at its tether. So for a moment, Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu, he stopped recitation, the cloud rose up. The horse calms down. But Sayyidina Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu, Salah is not over, so he starts reciting again, the cloud comes down. The cloud comes down and the horse is now getting more and more agitated, getting more and more spooked. Now this happened a couple of times and then Sayyidina Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu was afraid that the horse might break its tether, might injure the child or just run away or something. So he shortened his Salah and he completed it. Now in the morning he went to Masjid al-Nabawi Sharif to praise Fajr with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he narrated this story and he said, Ya Rasulullah, this is what happened to me. I was praying tahajjud and I was reciting Quran and this cloud came. What was this? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that cloud was the malaika. It was the angels who came down to listen to your recitation. And he said that if you had continued to recite, those malaika, the people of Medina would have seen those malaika. This is also Salah. Then Rasulullah asked him, what surah were you reciting? Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu said, I was reciting Surah Al-Kahf. So think about that when you read Surah Al-Kahf today in Jumu'ah. Second story that I want to tell you is, I told you the story of Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu, which shows us a Salah which is so beautiful that it attracted the angels. What about our Salah? What about my Salah? I ask myself this question. What about my Salah? My Salah seems to attract shaitan very much because, you get all the wasabis. But does it attract the angels? My brothers and sisters, my second story, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi, he narrates in his Musnad that soon before their arrival in Medina, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed the people. Soon before the arrival of a certain group of people, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed the people. He said, soon a group of people will come here who are very soft-hearted and they cry for Allah's sake. This news about the tribe and its impending arrival was brought to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam by Jibreel alayhi salam. This tribe from Yemen, they started out by ship, and their ship got blown off course. They ended up in Abyssinia, and then from Abyssinia, along with some other Sahaba who wanted to come to Medina, they all came to Medina. There was a man in this tribe who was known among the Sahaba for his beautiful recitation of the Quran. He would recite Quran day and night at every opportunity. Any time he was free, he would recite Quran. Even the one upon whom the Quran was sent would stand for long periods and would listen to the Sahabi reciting Quran in Tahajjud. It happened one day that late in the night, Rasulullah stood by the door of his house and listened to the Sahabi who was in the masjid reciting Quran. Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha saw him. She asked him, Ya Rasulullah, what are you doing? He said, come here. And she came. He said, listen to this recitation. And she heard the beautiful recitation of the Quran by the Sahabi Sayyidina Abu Musa al-Ashari radiallahu anhu. I can tell you many other stories of Sahaba who loved Salah, who loved the Quran, and whose Salah did wonders for them. These are stories which are evidence about people who loved Salah and loved reciting Quran. My brothers and sisters, what is our evidence to present before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It may not be as good as theirs, but is it even there? Let us create the evidence so that we will be called with them when it's our time to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that we will be called with those who loved the Quran, who loved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who loved his Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and who loved Salah. Inshallah, we will talk more about the other two pieces of advice of Hatib al-Asam rahmatullahi alayh. This suffices for today, inshallah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and to be pleased with you and never be displeased. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept your salah, to accept your sawm, you accept all your good deeds, and to reward you in keeping with His majesty and grace. وصلى الله على نبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.